Thank you.
All right, here we go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, February 11th meeting of the Longmeadow School Committee. School committees and other public bodies may continue to hold remote meetings through March 31st, 2025, under legislation enacted on March 29th, 2023. The statute, Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, extends quorum reductions for remote meetings. All votes while there is remote participation must be made by roll call vote. This meeting is being recorded and aired live on LCTV. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll open with correspondence.
The following correspondence will be recorded. 2 letters from Ms. Kara Crandall dated January 29th regarding the library position at the middle school.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes, we have a possible recommended motion.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the February 4th, 2025 school committee meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Anyone at home want a second?
Second.
Thank you, Julie. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Michaela?
Yes.
Adam?
Yay.
Julie?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. We'll open to public speak now. We don't have anyone here in the room, but if there's anyone at home who would like to speak, now would be a great opportunity. Feel free to turn your mic on and or your camera. Wave a hand. All right, seeing none, we're going to move into school committee announcements and recognitions. Does anyone have any announcements or recognitions for this evening? Julie? Or, I'm sorry, Michaela.
I just wanted to say congratulations to all the teachers that won the Grinspoon Award for Excellence in Teaching. Thank you for your good work.
Excellent, thank you. Wonderful. Any others? All right, administrative reports. We have a student rep report. Our student representative is not able to be here this evening, but sent a report for us to read. So the WMASC Roundtable this past Friday, February 7th, student council members attended the Western Mass Association of School Council Roundtable event in Northampton. Students were given a variety of topics to discuss, working with admin, how to debrief an event, etc., with other members from around Western Massachusetts. Also, the Pops concert is coming up tomorrow evening. Music students will perform tomorrow, the February 12th at 6:30 p.m. And the class of 2026 will be hosting a Spring Fling dance on May 9th at the Springfield Elks Club. And that's all from our student rep. I don't have anything for school committee other than a reminder that everyone should have on their calendars that on March 3rd, which is Monday, we'll be meeting with the select board to discuss the budget. Superintendent, do you have a report tonight?
A few things to build on what Michaela said. We had 4 educators who were recognized as part of the Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teaching Award program. So Danielle Stratton is an art teacher at Williams, was recognized as a beginning teacher. The 3 veteran educators that were recognized in the program were Kyle Noonan, social studies 6th grade at Glenbrook, Mike Rosemond, a school counselor at the high school, and Jill Bombardier, a 3rd grade teacher at Center School. So we did the prize patrol today, balloons, some Longmeadow swag, lots of joy, lots of tears, lots of laughs, lots of smiles. So it was a great day. They sort of represent, I always pitch it as they sort of represent the excellence of all of us, and they will represent us at a swanky dinner at the Log Cabin in early May. So looking forward to that. Couple items of interest beyond that. Pops concert tomorrow evening. Also tomorrow evening, there's a presentation that the Special Education Alliance of Longmeadow is putting on bullying, what every parent needs to know. So that's tomorrow night. A couple of great events going on. After vacay, mark your calendar for 8th grade parent night. It's an opportunity for 8th grade parents to learn more about the high school program. Lots of work going on under the direction of Nicole Paris-Crow, Beth Nelson, our curriculum director, and Neldia Rosari, director of student and family support. We have ruler training happening. We have Beth Nelson is working on a progress report on the Student Opportunity Act. Nilda coordinated an audit that DESE conducted in connection with our English language learner program, so we got some recommendations back from DESE through that audit, mostly some procedures and protocols relating to student interventions. Team of educators heading down for training in the ruler program in March, so we're increasing capacity in that area as well. Beth is continuing to work with our coaches on high-quality instructional approaches, and so she's involved in some ongoing training in that area. So lots of capacity building in some key areas. And Ananda Lennox, the new director of the closed community, started this week as well. So we welcomed her, and she is very knowledgeable, really understands community-based prevention work. And so Ananda met with Tom and I and a few others today, and she'll start to reach out to community leaders to expand her work. And so welcome to Ananda. So that's it.
All right,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, moving forward, no subcommittee reports tonight, and that brings us to the FY26 budget discussion. We are back to talk more about the budget and ultimately vote on sending a budget forward to the select board and ready to discuss.
And so, no intention to go through the slides that have been previously presented at your last two meetings, but I wanted just to pull up the slide deck in case any committee members had any questions on any items, or if there's any aspects of the budget recommendation that you'd like to revisit and clarify this evening. So I'll just pop up the high-level FY26 budget recommendation summary. And your vote, if you took one this evening, would be tied to the increases that are noted in the far right column. So Tom and I are happy to answer any questions you might have. Nicole Paris-Crowe, our Director of Special Education, is here as well, and is willing to answer any questions you might have if they come up. So.
All right. I'll open for discussion. Any questions folks might have? I'm wondering if you can go to the one where it talked about Chapter 70 aid and expected minimum local contribution, and the foundation budget had like a graph of each, and at the bottom, the funding source.
This one or the line graph?
Actually, that one works.
The
Nope,
chart?
That was perfect where you just were.
Yep.
Yep. No, I just wanted to highlight something that was kind of standing out the last few weeks looking at the numbers, which is how big the disparity is right now in the foundation budget and the Chapter 70 aid. So I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but that foundation budget is what the state is expecting we need to, not just expecting, but actually we need to fund our schools in FY26 at $35,588,989, which is an increase of $1,370,823. And the Chapter 70 aid increase is only an additional $204,675. So that leaves us with a pretty significant space between the two. And so just a note to acknowledge that foundation budget from the state increase is a weighty part of the budget increase that we ourselves then present to the town. When we go to the town and have a budget of $1,287,056 increase, that is very closely connected to that foundation budget increase and the gap that we're seeing there in that Chapter 70 aid for that increase as well.
If I could add to, right,
Yeah, please.
I think you highlight a key systemic challenge that we're facing. I mean, the increase in the foundation budget, again, that's the minimum amount the state would expect us to spend, but the rising costs tied to the foundation budget are not met in a corresponding way by increased Chapter 70 aid. So it puts additional pressure on Long Meadow. And this story that this slide tells, and the story that is told by this line graph, is the story that a lot of communities are experiencing right now as they prepare budgets for the 25-26 school year, where the rising costs reflected by the increases in the foundation budget calculation not being met by projected increases in Chapter 78. So it really presents a systemic challenge
Yeah.
for us as we're trying to bring you a recommended budget.
And as you
Yeah.
said, puts a significant burden back on towns and municipalities to fund that minimum local contribution that we're seeing go up so significantly as well.
I wonder if I could, we received I'm just going to stop the share for a moment.
Sure.
I was sharing with Michaela and Nicole before the meeting. This is a document that was just released by a coalition of parties that have a stake in public education. And so you see the signatories to this document, and I'll show you the document momentarily, but to see any document that has a sign off by the Mass Association of School Superintendents, the Mass Association of School Committees, the MTA, and a series of other groups is significant. It's not every day that joint position statements are issued by these entities. And so what's interesting is, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, I just
Yeah.
left that line that was in the very end
Yeah.
there, in that last paragraph.
Right
We know
here.
that education budgets at the federal, state, and local levels reflect our commitment to public education. We often say, what we fund, we value. If Massachusetts is committed to remaining a national leader in public education, and we are all committed to doing what is right for students, we must find creative ways in this difficult fiscal environment to provide schools and districts with the funding to meet the growing needs of students and families.
And so this coalition, I think it's a great thing to highlight. And this coalition letter, again, it was just released today, so we haven't really had a full chance to digest it, and I know the committee is just seeing it, but it's worth at least drawing our attention to it, the community's attention to it, as we prepare to review the budget. And so what's interesting is the cost factors that this document identifies reflect the slides that we had presented over the last couple of weeks. Number one, that Chapter 70 not keeping pace with rising costs, not keeping pace with inflation, the challenges associated with providing out-of-district special education tuition. I know this committee wrote a letter last year in response to that 14% tuition hike that we experienced, and then we're looking at another tuition hike of about 3.7% in out-of-district tuitions. Even that 3.7% number is out of line with increases that we had seen historically. So those are, 2 years in a row we've been hit with increases to out-of-district special education tuition that is out of our control. These are tuition rates that are set by the Operational Services Division. And then the other cost factor that this document identifies is something that this committee discussed last week, which is student transportation and the rising costs associated with transporting students, special education students, regular education students, in and out of district, so regular day transportation. And so these are significant factors, and they reflect the rising costs that we've talked about. And so we have a budget that at its current recommended level would offer level services in the 25-26 school year, but we know that the budget season is early, and we still need to discuss this with the select board. So I appreciate you letting me share that that letter with you, and it's in the school committee's meeting packet, and we'll put it up on our website with the other budget documents, just so everybody, I think it's worth everybody reading, frankly, just to really understand the fiscal pressures that we're facing, so.
Thank you.
No. I'll go back to the slide deck.
Perfect. All right, other commentary, questions, discussion from other folks, Michaela?
Just adding on to what both of you said, I did my due diligence into looking into the circuit breaker funding and making sure that we were utilizing every opportunity in the district to receive funding through the circuit breaker. And I can say with absolute confidence that every single question I asked and received answers that were thorough and made me very confident that our district is using every funding and grant possible to fund the higher cost of all students, but most especially with the circuit breaker, students with disabilities. And I was just reading that quickly, but I loved seeing under the out-of-district costs that I just read at the bottom, it said, also recognizing the higher cost of in-district students, and that's where my focus was. I feel like we have a lot more in-district students that are receiving services and also are being evaluated for services. I think it's about triple in recent years since COVID, like kids getting evaluated for services, and that's such a big cost on local districts like you were talking about, Nicole. And I'm all about I'm with all of them, like push back on the state and the funding to make sure every district can fund the subgroups of students in their district that have a persistent disparity in student outcomes. And in our district, it's students with disabilities. And in the whole state, 20%, over 20% of our student population are students with disabilities, and we need to be funding their programs and their services more.
Well said. Thank you, Michaela. Other thoughts and questions related to the budget? And/or I will entertain a motion if none.
Oh, sorry. I move that the school committee approve the FY 2026 proposed school department budget in the amount of $44,852,879.12 with a general fund allocation of $41,475,703.64 and submit this amount to the town manager for inclusion at the annual town meeting on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Michaela?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Adam? No, you're fine.
Dave.
Julie?
Yes.
And yes, for me as well. All right, thank you. We had new business that we are tabling, and that brings us then to our motion for an executive session and closes out our public portion of tonight's meeting. We will return to a public meeting again on February 25th,
We had,
after break.
I'm wondering,
It's on the bottom of page 2.
Oh,
the,
Cell phones?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, where is that?
Very
We did talk
On
about
the
that.
annotated agenda, it's on the bottom of page 2.
Okay.
under the-
The,
we should.
You
can
are right,
Check and see if
but-
it's on the posted agenda, Tom?
Did I go bunny?
We had the cell phone discussion on,
I don't see it on
I
here.
don't see it on
the-
there either. I'm not sure if it made it on. We might need to
It's on
push it
this
till the
one, is it on
25th.
very bottom?
No,
Page 2?
No,
no.
I have,
I go right to the new
consideration.
business that we're tabling and then executive session. We might have left that off. We'll circle back to it on the
Right,
25th.
yeah.
It's fine.
not time sensitive, but
No.
I suppose
an update.
not on your agenda, but worth noting that we want to circle back and share the results of our cell phone survey with the committee and with the community and contemplate next steps, so.
Yes. All right, perfect.
right.
We'll plan on doing that in more detail on February 25th.
Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion for executive session.
Oh, I move that the school committee meet an executive session pursuant of the Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, purpose to conduct a strategy session in preparation with collective bargaining with units A, B, C, D, E, F, and H. And the purpose, consideration of the release of executive session minutes of previous meetings, not to reconvene into open session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Michaela?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Adam?
Yeah.
And yes for me as well. We are officially headed into executive session, and we'll see everyone after the February break on the 25th. Have a good evening.